learn objectives and points to remember. To better understand how to enter information for newcomers into Ufile and how it's reported on a tax return, newcomer status applies only for the first tax year in which they became a resident. Since a non-resident spouse does not need to submit a tax return in Canada, it's important to report the spouse's name and their net income. A newcomer must report any foreign income they earned when they were not a resident of Canada, such as employment income from another country. So now we are going to go and look at the learning guide, practice with case studies, newcomer with work permit, and spouse living abroad. One moment please while I share my screen. Hello again. So I'm going to introduce the background information of Martin Dubois. So Martin immigrated to Canada from France on February 1st, 2024, and is not a Canadian citizen, but has a work permit. After his arrival, he worked 2 jobs. Martin's world income outside of Canada in 2024 was 5,000 Canadian dollars, which he earned as an employee at a market in France. Martin's wife, Simone, still lives in France. Simone's net income in 2024 was 2,800 Canadian dollars, which she earned as an employee in a grocery store. Martin and Simone do not own any foreign property. So this is identification information for Martin. For the purpose of this case study, we are using a fictitious SIN number, which is 000. This is Martin's T4 employment slip that we are going to use to enter into Ufile. This is from one of his jobs, Meats Market. And this is his other T4 as the Janitors Incorporation that we are going to enter into Ufile as well. One moment please while I share my Ufile screen and we can start. Hello again. So I have my Ufile 2024 open here. As always, we are going to start at the interview section. And before you do that, you always make sure that you go to your eFile and NetFile setup and you have your eFile number, password, and all the information that's required to file a tax return in here, and you will see. So we are going to press start and it will bring us to the interview section. So Martin's name, first name, last name, and is there a change of name for this taxpayer? No. Martin's SIN number, as you can see, is 000, which is a fictitious SIN number. The date of birth we are going to enter as 30th October 1985. The province of residence as of December 31st, 2024 was Ontario. It's important to confirm the individual's situation as of December 31st for the tax year being prepared, as it can affect their eligibility to benefits and credits. You should familiarize yourself with different marital statuses as defined by the CRA. An individual is considered to have a spouse or common law partner if they were separated involuntarily. A separation status occurs only when there is a breakdown in the relationship. Since Martin and Simone are married while living in different countries, they are considered involuntarily separated. Therefore, we will select match. Has it been any change on their marital status? No change. So we will go next to the spouses section. What information? So since Simone still lives in France, she does not need to complete a Canadian tax return. So we are going to select net income only here, because the CRA needs this information to calculate the benefits and credits for the individual living in Canada. So select net income only when the spouse is not a resident of Canada. And we go next. In this section, so when net income only is selected, the spouse's following identification information needs to be entered: name, date of birth. Simone has never been a Canadian resident. She does not have a SIN number. So we are going to use the 00 fictitious SIN number for her as well. We are going to put her date of birth as April 5th of April 1988. And we are going to come to this question. Was your spouse a Canadian resident in 2024? No, she has never been in Canada. Was your spouse an immigrant in 2024? No, she never immigrated. And Simone did never come to Canada at any time. And this section is net federal income or net world income in Canadian dollars. So you're going to enter Simone's net income earned in France in Canadian dollars. It is the individual's responsibility to provide the amount in Canadian dollars. They can go to the Bank of Canada's website to find the annual exchange rates. There's another question. Did your spouse receive universal child care benefits in 2024? This is a mandatory field. We will select no. In this section, we are going to put Martin's address. So we are using a fictitious address here, 123 Main Street, Toronto, Ontario. And in here you can answer, is your home and mailing address the same? And if it is, you select it. And if they have a phone number, you can enter it again. So we will go next to CRA's questions. Language of correspondence. You're going to ask Martin, and it's English for him. And Are you filing an income tax return with the CRA for the very first time? Yes. Did you own foreign property in 2024 with a total cost over $100,000? Martin does not own foreign property, so we can select no for this question. A newcomer does not have to report foreign property. This question is part of the eligibility screening process. If the individual is not a newcomer and answered yes, then they are not eligible for the CBIT. We are going to go down to this question. Are you an officer or servant of another country, such as a diplomat or a family member or an employee of such person, who are exempt from tax at any time in the taxation year? So no, he's not. The next question is, do you have a Canadian citizenship? Make sure you ask the individual for this information. Since Martin is not a Canadian citizen, select no for the do you have a Canadian citizenship field. You will scroll down to the Canada Carbon Rebate section. So select the principal place of residence of the taxpayer as of December 31st. So we know that he lives in Toronto, and that's a CMA. So we will select CMA Toronto, Census Metropolitan Area. The Canada Carbon Rebate, or Yakult's Carbon Rebate for Individuals section will only appear for residents of Alberta, Manitoba, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Yukon. Select. So based on that, we have selected Toronto because it's an Ontario. We are going to scroll down to the email notification section. We will select no because generally before a newcomer can register for my account, they must have submitted their tax return for the current or previous tax year. A newcomer who is a resident of Alberta or British Columbia can use their provincial partner login information to sign into my account, even if they have not submitted a tax return before. If yes is selected, the terms and conditions must be read aloud for the individual to hear and agree to. So now, for this case, we are selecting no, and we will leave the email address field blank. No, don't next. So this section asks us, will you be using the CRA's autofill my return service for this tax year? We are not using it today, so we will say no. Will you be using Ufile to submit this return to the CRA? We will select yes if eligible. Will you be using Ufile to submit a prior year federal return today or within the next 2 weeks? It doesn't apply to Martin, so we will say no. It will bring us to the interview section. You must enter the information required in all of the website menu topics found above the interview section. So in the interview setup is where we customize the interview by identifying the topics related to our individual's tax situation. For Martin, check the box next to immigrant, non-resident, in the specific situations section. So we have selected this section and Martin has a T4 unemployment income. Should already be listed in the left side menu here, as you can see. However, please ensure this box is ticked here. And we are going to untick everything else if there is anything else is selected. By following these steps, Ufile clears out many of the unnecessary fields to make navigation easier. So we go next. So the situations are listed here, and we will select the situation that applies to Martin. So click the plus sign next to "You immigrated to Canada in 2024. We will now enter the immigration information there. So Martin arrived in Canada on 1st of February 2021. So 1st of February 2023, because it came 1 year. We can also select it from here. So your net income while you are living in Canada with your spouse, 0. So date of entry for Martin, my apologies, it will be the 2024 because he came in 2024. February 1st, 2024. The date of entry is the date when the individual became a resident of Canada for tax purposes. Generally, it's the date the individual arrived in Canada. It's important to enter the correct date, as this date would affect the amount of non-refundable tax credits they may be eligible for. Since Martin has not lived with someone while in Canada, we leave these field blanks. Your net income with your spouse, 0. And this was the Canadian sourced income. Canadian sourced income. So Martin did not earn income from Canada when he lived in France. So this is Canadian sourced income earned when you are not a resident of Canada. Even though no Canadian sourced income was earned while he resided outside of Canada, you must still select income from employment in Canada from the drop-down menu and enter a value of $0. This section is Canadian source part income plus foreign sourced income earned when you are not a resident of Canada. So name of country refers to the name of the country where the income was earned. So he earned that income in France. Foreign source income. Source of income will be net employment income. And so we are going to select net employment income because Martin earned employment income in France. The income Martin earned when he resided outside of Canada will not be reported as income in his tax return. This income is not taxed in Canada, but is used to determine how the non-refundable tax credits will be calculated. So we know that his world income earned outside of Canada is $5,000, as we saw in the beginning. 5,000 Canadian dollars. And we are going to go next. In this section, we are going to click the plus sign next to T4 income earned in any province except Quebec. Employer's name, the first of his T4 slips is from Pete's Market. Enter the amounts from the T4 slip into the matching fields. If you or the individual believe a tax slip was issued in error or contains wrong information, the individual must contact the issuer. So we have box 14 is 6,600. That's employment income. Box 10, you leave blank in this case. Box 16, CPP contribution. $202. Box 18, EI, employees EI premiums, $115. Box 22, income tax deducted, $1,215. Box 24, EI insurable earnings, $6,600. Box 26, CPP pensionable earnings, $6,600. Box 45, employer offered dental benefits. So Martin is not eligible to access any dental care insurance, so we will select and we will go back to the T4 employment income and add the other T4 slip that Martin has from his other employer. So the other employer's name is Janitors Incorporation. If a box is blank on a T4 slip, do not enter 0. Leave the field blank, as it can affect the result of the tax return. So box 14 is employment income from his other T4 slip is $4,300. Box 10, the province of employment, we leave blank in this case. Box 16, CPP contribution, $125. Box 18, employees EI premiums, $55. Box 22, income tax deducted is $850. Box 24, EI insurable earnings is $4,300. Box 26, CPP pensionable earnings is $4,300. Again, employer offered dental benefits, not eligible to access any dental care insurance. So this concludes Martin's interview. Review the tax return to ensure the information is correct. But since Martin is living in Ontario, we are going to claim Ontario credits for him. 1 minute, please. Ontario, once you have entered all of the federal tax information in the return, we will then complete the provincial tax credit section for Ontario. Inside this section, before this step in the facilitator's guide, tells you that to review the tax return. So the Ontario tax credit section will generate on the left side menu once you enter Ontario as the province of residence as of December 31st, 2024 in the identification section. Before we enter the provincial information, please be aware of this eligibility criteria for the Ontario Energy and Property Tax Credit. Rent was paid by or for you for your principal residence that was subject to property tax. If your client lived in a subsidized housing unit, they must check with the landlord to find out if property tax was paid for the unit. So in this section, we are going to click on the Ontario credits, and you can see this ON bin application for the 2025 Ontario Trillium Bid. Click on Ontario tax credits, then the plus sign next to ON bin application for the 2025 Ontario Trillium Benefit, and it will open. So in this section, it asks, do you want to apply for the 2025 OEPTC or Ontario Energy Property Tax Credit? We are going to select yes. It says you selected yes. Make sure you consult the declaration box. Continue with your data entry. In here, it says application for the Ontario. Since he doesn't live in the Northern Ontario, it doesn't apply to him. This section is choice for delayed single OTB. Read the explanation of both options to your client and advise you are selecting no because the individual is choosing to receive their payments monthly rather than waiting until June 2026 for one payment. So Martin wants to receive it every month, so we are going to say we are not going to wait until June 2026 and we will put it monthly. So we select no. Leave the other fields blank. Scroll down to the declaration and select click here. So in the declaration, we are going to declaration, select under ONBEN declarations, declaration for rent paid tenants, including a private long-term care home. In this scenario, the taxpayer lived in Canada as of February 1st, 2024, and therefore has 11 months of rent to report for the tax year. $1,500 of rent was paid monthly. You do not need to enter the address as it's not different from the current address entered in the current address section here. So for this, we are going to type how many months we occupied the residence, 11. How much rent we paid? That was $16,500. Is this residence a private long-term care home? No, it's not. Name of the landlord, Jane. sorry. So you have now completed the O and Ben example. You can use it. So now we have completed this. One more. And I share my other screen. Now we have completed this. One. And we are going to untick everything else if there's anything else is selected. By following these steps, Ufile clears out many of the unnecessary fields to make that. We are going to So you have now completed the O and Ben example. You can use it. So now we have completed this. One more. And I share my other screen.